Okay, we are on Ein Yaakov. Please like to subscribe to the channel, give it a thumbs up, hit the notification bell, like and comment. Do what you have to do. It goes way up on the rankings, and then you'll never miss a class. Okay, we are on Gemara Shabbat. We're on page 63a. First, we'll discuss what we have, then you'll ask your question. Okay. So it says that Amarav Ava, Amarav Shimon ben Lakish, or Rav Abba said in the name of Rav Shimon ben Lakish, Gadol HaMalveh Yotem and Oseh Tzedaka. A lender is greater than one who gives charity. The reason being because he gives, a pauper is embarrassed to accept charity, but not a loan, since he expects to repay the loan. Okay, I think we did some of this already. And one who puts working capital into the pocket of the pauper is more outstanding than all of them. And he says he gives the pauper merchandise or money with which to do business and receives a percentage of the profits. That is what we call the het to iska. One generally does not lend great sums of money since he needs funds to conduct his own business. Consequently, the borrower receives only what is required to satisfy his immediate needs and may therefore suffer embarrassment while he struggles to accumulate sufficient funds for repayment. An investor, on the other hand, transfers a large sum of money, enough for the pauper to start a business and support himself from the profits, and to use the capital to repay the loan promptly. Hence, the investor does not cause the pauper any embarrassment at all. So Amarav Abba, Amarav Rav Shimon ben Lakish. So Rav Abba said in his name, Rav Shimon ben Lakish. In Talmud, okay, so that you want to, so your question, we'll go into the next section. What's your question again?
Well, listening to you talk, it's either going to be to define tzedakah, what is it, or specifically, is it something you give or something you do?
Yes and yes. Okay, tzedakah does not mean charity. Tzedakah means acting in a proper manner, righteously.
So it's something you do.
It's righteously, right. So when a person does tzedakah, it could be giving charity. It could be doing a job, giving a job. It could be judging me correctly, tzedek tirdof, should pursue righteousness. It could just be doing the right thing. So tzedakah is all-encompassing. It doesn't just mean giving charity. Okay? So that answer that question?
Yeah.
Okay. So now he says, Im Talmud Chacham no came v'noter kenachashu. Even if a Talmud scholar exacts revenge and bears a grudge like a serpent, chagrehu al matnecha, gird him to your loins, which means even if his character is less than perfect, attach yourself to him, for in the end you will benefit from his scholarship. Im ama aretzu chasid. However, if an unlearned man is ostensibly pious, al tador bishchunato, do not dwell in his neighborhood. Why? Since he does not know the fine details of the mitzvot, and his piety is perforce incomplete. In the end, you will be adversely influenced by him. Here's the famous thing of Pirkei Avot: choose your neighbors wisely. Okay, if you there's not, which is one thing that's very interesting here. He says, if a Torah scholar is not acting properly, you should still gird your loins to him. We have another place where if he acts improperly, we're supposed to say far away from him, because you want the person whose inside is like the outside, or the outside is like the inside, however you want to look at it. He should be equal. And here you have a Torah scholar who is exacting revenge and bearing a grudge. You're also going to learn that, and that's not a good situation. So it's interesting that Rav Shimon ben Lakish is saying, well, Rav Abba saying in his name, that even though a Torah scholar is like that, still grab onto him, because you're going to ultimately learn from his knowledge. There's plenty of people who disagree with that philosophy.
It sounds like he's trying to say then that it may be in the case where that's the only Torah scholar around, try to ignore what you see is wrong because his knowledge is good, and try to ignore that aspect. Maybe you just learn from. That's the only thing I can see that makes sense.
Again, you could say that, and it's a hard thing because at the same time you have an Amma Aretz who is acting an ignoramus, who is acting pious.
So what does that mean? And how would you know?
How do you act? Wait, how do you know what? How do you know what?
He's an Amma Aretz.
Because you can, by talking to him, by seeing by seeing what he was doing, and by talking to him, you can many times realize I'm not dealing with a person who is learned. I'm dealing with a person who is following what he was.
He's putting on certain errors, in other words.
I wouldn't say even errors. He's trying to be stringent to everything. In other words, you have people today, what you have today is, with all that we have translated, with everything that you have today, and it's on the net. I mean, there's really no excuse for anybody not to be a learned Jew today. I'm sorry. I hate to say that, and I hate to condemn the entire Jewish world, but really there's no excuse. Everything is being translated. Everything's online. You want to know about in vitro fertilization according to Jewish law? We have a class for that too. Okay, you can yu.edu.org, whatever they call it. Okay, yu.edu. They have 14,000 classes. Enjoy yourself. You can, and from the greatest minds around. You have also Aguda. You have all these places where you can get in-depth classes online for free. There's not. Congratulations to the world. Okay, I'm not advertising YouTube. I'm advertising knowledge that's real knowledge. Okay, you can, on YouTube there's also stuff. I'm not going to argue with YouTube. Again, besides my wonderful classes, you have the other classes that are out there. You have a lot out there. So now what happens is somebody watches a video, and they think now, I've watched Reb Shechter give a class. Now I know everything there is to know, and now I can judge. No, you can't. It's the beginning. It's the very beginning. You have to go through the sources. You have to do all these things. So what happens is some people, they grew up, they saw what their family was doing. They bring that in, and you ask them, well, why are you doing that? Because my father did it. Now that's a great reason, by the way. I'm not arguing on the reason, because my father did, because my mother did it. I'm not arguing on that. It's a valid reason, but it's not one that's coming from an educated answer. Okay, it's just not an educated answer. So now you have to say, one second. So now you have to say, is the person an ignoramus, not knowing what is, just doing it because it's rote, or is there something there? So again, that becomes decided very quickly, as opposed to the Talmud Chacham, who will give you all the different answers as to what's going on. So you know clearly he knows what he's talking about. The only problem is he has some character defects. And that's what Reb Shimon ben Lakish is saying. He has character defects. So the good will outweigh the bad in that situation. Whether or not he's the only one, I don't know if he's the only one, but certainly, you want to, according to him, you want to grab on. Like I said, there's another opinion that says no. If he's not acting appropriately, then regardless of how great he is, you let him go. It's not, you can't learn from him. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I think it's passed.
I answered it, or at the moment it was gone.
Someplace else.
Okay. So now we go to the next. Right. So now we go to the next one. So Amar of Kahana, Amar of Shimon ben Lakish. From Shimon ben Lakish has a lot to say. Okay. So Amrilei, Amar of Asi, Amar of Shimon ben Lakish. Some people say it's Rav Asi and not Rav Kahana said this. And for Amrilei, there's still another tradition. It says that Rav Abba said the name of Rav Shimon ben Lakish. Here we go. Kol hamagadil kelev ra b'toch beito. Whoever raises a bad dog in his house, maneach chesed mitoch beito. He prevents kindness from coming into his house. Shneimar lamas, as it says, whoever keeps a bad dog, meriehu chesed, withholds kindness from his friend. Shekain b'lashon Yevani koret lekelev lamas. For in the Greek language, they call a dog lamas. Okay, so you have a bad dog. Why? What's wrong with the bad dog? A wild dog will not let the poor approach one's door. You have a...
Don't let the friendly in either.
Correct. But you have what do they call pit bulls?
Oh,
okay.
Pebbles.
Pit bulls.
Oh,
Yeah.
No. Pit bulls or some other dogs.
Yeah, that's where
See,
we
your little dog just barks. Your little dog just barks, but then they'll lick you up.
Yep. As soon as you.
Which dog you have?
No, I'm wondering, is it just saying guard dogs are bad? Because I thought that was the reason you shouldn't have a dog. You shouldn't have a dog unless you need to protect yourself. And that was one of the examples that said, like,
Depends how you define vicious.
no, I'm like, there's an opinion that said you shouldn't have pets. Or you shouldn't have animals in your house. But the other thing, like, you can have dogs as long as they have a purpose. And the purpose is either livestock or guarding the house. And if the dog is guarding the house, he's gonna chase away people who are around the door. So that's an opinion on the job of the dog. I have a question on.
All right. First thing first. As far as no pets, I never heard no pets, because we have fish, we have gerbils. So when you say no pets, certainly today's definition of pets, I would greatly question whether or not we could have whether it's opinion that says you can't have pets. Okay. When it comes to a dog, a vicious dog, again, we're talking about using a guard dog versus, which is trained like a German Shepherd, I'm guessing, that's going to guard you if there's a reason for guarding you, so fine. But in the case of you just have a dog that you want to keep away certain people, beggars, so that's what he's saying is no good. When you have a dog like that, it's no good. The guard dog, if I tell the dog sit, the dog will sit. It's not a wild dog. It's very trained.
Okay, so it's saying don't put a dog out on a leash out front of the yard to keep people away from coming through the door. They didn't have leashes in those days. Have it trained, have it obedient. Don't just
if you're gonna have a dog, you have to be trained and so on and so forth. So it can't be a dog that that's can be wild and it's going to keep people away. So that's what he's saying. Now again, not everybody's going to agree with this. It's just Rav Shimon ben Lakish is saying this. So if you have another opinion that says you could have it, so he would disagree. But he's using a verse that says this. And he says, yes, it says, Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak Amar, Av Porek Mimenu Yirat Shamayim. He's also casting off from himself the fear of heaven. Shema V'yirat Shaddai Yaakov. As says, he abandons the fear of God. And he's going to give a story. What was your question?
It doesn't. When it comes to like thinking of dogs, there is the difference between when it comes to fierceness. A pit bull, a Rottweiler, a German Shepherd being wild and fierce is different than a Chihuahua or a Terrier being wild and fierce. They will still bite you. One can do more damage, but both are wild animals.
I happen to agree with you. I hold all dogs and wild animals, so because I'm not a great fan. But in all these cases, the point is when it comes to a Chihuahua, when it comes to Terrier, you said? Terrier. Those small dogs. Those are small dogs, right? They make more noise than their bark is worse than their bite, as the expression goes. I'm not arguing they won't bite.
Right.
I'm not. Again, dogs, cats, any animal can potentially do damage.
Right.
And if you have that animal, guess what? You're responsible.
Right.
And 100%. So let's not talk about that. What we're dealing with is if I have a cat in my house, the odds of scaring away a person is very small.
Right.
If I have a small little dog that barks a lot, and it'll wake you up. It'll make you question. It will make you question, do I want to go to the house? Which could be a problem.
Right.
But nonetheless, you're knocking on the door. If you hear a growl, I'm not going to go near you.
Teeth.
Right. I'm not going to go near the house. Barking, beep, 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 beep. Leave me alone. Okay? But that's like, no. And certainly, the worst situation, and I learned this from my father, is if you're holding the dog.
And then they feel stronger.
Right. If you hold that dog, if you have a German Shepherd, and you're holding the leash, My father said, never approach that person. Never approach that. That dog thinks that he's the king of the world.
The leash is taut. You're holding it. The dog
Yeah,
is
stay away from that person. Because that dog is ready to pounce. Because he has the master holding him. Mm-hmm. And he feels, what do you call it? Yeah, but unbeatable. Invincible. He feels invincible. Thank you. I knew it was the English word for that. Okay. Yeah, but that's something that, and yet when he's off his leash, he can be like a little puppy, or running around because he doesn't feel invincible. Right. So now he has to figure out. But yeah, so I think you have to be aware of what you're looking at. And like I said, Rav Shimon ben Lakish, I guess, didn't like dogs. Again, he has verses to go with him, so it's not like he doesn't have a verse, but is something that you have to think about when you're having these dogs or any animal, again, besides fish, unless you have the ones that eat you, piranha. And you have to put your hand into the piranha too, so that they can jump out and get you. But if you have animals that can attack, you are giving the signal, I don't want you in the house. And he's saying, and so as a result of that, you're withholding kindness from your fellow. That's what he's arguing. He's not getting into, can you have a dog? Can you not have a dog? Can you have a guard? He's not getting into that discussion. He's saying when you do, you should know you're withholding kindness from individuals. That's all he's saying. And ultimately, you're also casting off the fear of God. For that, he's going to give you an anecdote. So a certain pregnant woman came.
My book doesn't say pregnant.
It says certain woman, right?
Well, go ahead.
Does it say a certain woman?
No.
Okay.
A woman once entered a house to bake. Right?
Okay, so what happened is,
she wasn't pregnant.
and so the rabbis are telling us she's pregnant because of what the story is going to happen.
Yeah, this one has it in parentheses, pregnant.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So it's part of the story that she's pregnant. Otherwise, it wouldn't make sense at the end. Okay.
In my book, she's
okay. Well, we'll see as the story goes on. Okay. So let's take the word for it. So a pregnant woman came into a particular house to bake, and the owner of the house had given her permission to use his oven. Rashi explains. Navach ba kalba, the owner's dog barked at her. It's akar vlada, and because of the sudden fright, her fetus was uprooted from the place in the womb. You have that? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's why it says pregnant. Okay. So Armale Mara debate to the owner of the house said to her, Lo titchali, do not be afraid. Deshkile nive ushkilen tufrei, for the dog's fangs and his claws have been removed, so it can neither bite nor scratch.
Oh.
So okay, fine. Amrala, she said to him in reply, Shkula tevutech v'shadia achizrei. Your assurance is taken away and cast onto the thorns. Kavar navalad. The fetus has already been dislodged. Wow. I already lost my baby. Wow. Thanks a lot. So you can have a dog. You can defang it. Why would you take?
Because of the bark, she must have just really jumped.
So you can take all these things away. Yeah. Take all these things away, but the dog still has a bark. Wow. It scares a person. And she loses a baby.
I jump when I hear an unexpected bark from a dog.
You jump a lot in your house?
Outside, not my dog.
Okay.
How tall are your ceilings in there?
He wants to know if you had. Okay. But no,
it's a 10-foot house. That's all right.
But that's the problem that you have, that people become afraid. Yeah. And so it's something, again, it's how welcoming do you want your house to be? Really, that's the question. And there are certain animals which we're not allowed to have, like a pig, but that's a different thing.
Isn't there? I don't think he talks about it here, but isn't somewhere else in the Gemara? Don't we hear that? The expression "dog is man's best friend." we get that somewhere from the Gemara. The dogs didn't bark when Bnei Israel was leaving.
So that's why we have to give them the meat from the treifim. That's why they get that stuff. Also, it says that if you go back to the Midrash, it says that God gave Cain a sign, right? It put a sign on him at the very beginning, because he was saying, what am I going to do? The animals are going to kill me. Somebody's going to kill me. So who's he worried about? Adam and Chava? That's the parents. They're not going to touch him. There's nobody else on the planet at that point. So it must be animals. Why would he be worried about animals? Because normally animals go away from us because we have the image of God in us. So it says that God took that away. God stripped him of that when he killed a human being, and namely his brother. So what happened is God gave him a sign. Some people say that he put a hay on his head. That's one. But another opinion is that he gave him a dog. And the dog would go in front, and the dog would lead him, showing him where he could go.
Interesting.
So that's the first time we see the dog being man's best friend, if you will, where he's the dog is helping him out.
So what I'm getting out of this is that it sounds like the Torah viewpoint is that we're very disposed to dog being our friends, but it sounds like we're opposed to keeping a dog at home, or at least in the house or something like that.
Again, I'm not sure Reb Shimon ben Lakish is making that judgment. What he's saying is that you're withholding kindness because the dog by nature is going to bark. That's what a dog does.
Yeah, I agree with
a
that.
cat runs up against you,
rubs
against you.
Yeah.
If it cares about you at all, it may look at you and say, "Yeah,
and
what?" And turn around. Cats are very finicky, but dogs, their natural instinct is to bark.
Yeah.
So, and to try to scare you. I mean, no matter, again, from the little Chihuahua all the way up to the German Shepherd, or whatever, the biggest dog you can think of. Great Dane. Was it? Irish what?
What do you call
Whatever they are. The horse. They
Bernard.
like the horses. Saint Bernard. Now, it's interesting. Does the Saint Bernard bark? Does it normally bark? I don't know. I think Saint Bernards, from reputation, don't bark when somebody comes to the door because they're just so big, and they just say, "Are you kidding me?"
It's too much trouble.
Right? Leave me alone. I'll smack you, and that's the end of it.
One of the guard mechanisms that people tell of is like other animals will jump at you and try to like bite at you. They'll just jump at you and put you on the ground and sit on you.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Well, that means they care.
Right. So like I said, those are the things you have to... I think Reb Shimon ben Lakish is going with that. That he's just saying that when you have something, regardless of if you defang it, regardless of if you declaw it, it doesn't matter. The bark, that's why the expression is the bark is worse than the bite.
Do we know what kind of pet he kept?
Based upon this, he didn't keep a dog. I only had pets. Now, by the way, just while I'm making a note about Reb Shimon ben Lakish, Reb Shimon ben Lakish in his youth was a robber.
Oh, yeah.
He was a robber. What? A bit. Might not give me a bandit and robber.
No, he said bandito.
Okay. Yeah, he was a thief.
Oh, he was Sephardic.
No, he was a robber who had met his future brother-in-law, Rav Yochanan. And Rav Yochanan, the Gemara says, it's an interesting exchange, but Rav Yochanan says to Rav Yochanan, "You're a beautiful man." He was a stunning man, apparently. And so he said, "If you're like me, you'll love my sister. Because my sister's also beautiful." He said, and I'll let you marry her on condition that you become a Baal Tshuva. You leave your a religious person, leave your bad ways, and we'll do it. And he says, "Done. I'll marry your daughter." And so he becomes a great Talmid Chacham, and he learns with Rav Yochanan, his brother-in-law. He learns with him. Rav Yochanan becomes his teacher. He teaches him, and he far surpasses everybody. But that's Reb Shimon ben Lakish. He's not coming from a rabbinical background at all. He's been running with the thieves, and so I'm sure he had dogs. I'm sure he did all these things, but at the same time, he was afraid of dogs. I'm sure.
When did he make the switch from into the rabbinate from this life of crime?
Well, I'm not. You mean what age? I have no idea the age. But when he met Rabbi Yochanan, it was crossing a river. It's an interesting. Like I said, the exchange is an interesting exchange. A lot behind it, which we can't get into at this point. But it's a very interesting storyline that you get into. Yeah. I'm not going to get into it.
Was he trying to rob him?
Say it again.
Was he trying to rob him?
No. He was crossing the river.
Oh, it was
Just crossing the river, and it was just again. You have to look at we'd have to go back to the story. It's not fair. I'm just giving you to say that he wasn't the simple guy that we always think of as most rabbis didn't start out as thieves. At least I hope we don't. So
He doesn't have the ivory tower background.
right, he had no ivory tower background. He grew up in the Bowery, so it was
on the streets, right?
On the streets. So, like I said, it's interesting that many of his views are, including the Talmidei Chacham who learned together, and so on and so forth. It's interesting that he would be picking on these, that this is what he's being known for, as coming from his background. Okay, let's continue on. It says, Am Rav Huna, my dichtiv. So another teaching is, what's the meaning of the word, which is written, Smach b'chor b'yaldutecha, v'tivcha livcha b'mei b'chorotecha. So rejoice, young man, in your childhood, and let your heart cheer in the days of your youth. V'hala b'darche livcha v'mare b'enecha v'da. V'naki al kol ele v'acha elokim b'mishpat. And go in the ways of your heart and after the sight of your eyes, but know that all of these things Hashem will bring you to judgment. So Rav Huna answers his own question. Al adkan divrei Sahara. Until not including the words, but know all these things that God will bring you to judgment. So until there, those are the words of the evil inclination. Become ve'elech divrei tov. From here and onwards, where it says that know that God will judge you. That is the latter words. Reish Lakish Amar Adkan, the Divrei Torah. Until here, where it's talking about again, rejoice, young man, in your childhood, and let your heart cheer you. The days of your old, and go in the ways of your heart, and after the sight of your eyes. That's referring to the Torah. Mikan ve'elech, where it says God will bring you to judgment. From there, it refers to the good deeds. So he says, rejoice in your Torah studies, learn joyfully and contentedly, and go on the ways of your heart to understand what is in your heart according to the sight of your own eyes. That is, follow your most sincere understanding of what the Torah intends. But know that for all these things, for all the things you have learned, in the end you will be judged if you do not fulfill them. That's how Rashi learns that. And it's such an important lesson that we have to say, okay, I'm going to learn Torah. Fine, tremendous. I'm learning Torah, I'm sitting in the base measures 13 hours a day. And what comes out of that, though? What do I take into the streets? Do I just leave it in the base medrash? I learned blah, 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 and now I leave it there. Now I go into the... my kids are going to Israel, so now I'll pick on Israel. So now I go to Ben Yehuda Street and do something that I shouldn't be doing? Or do I bring that Torah knowledge into the world and live by a Torah life?
What happens on Ben Yehuda Street?
Apparently it's things that shouldn't, it's like Las Vegas. That which happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Oh.
Okay, so you shouldn't talk. But Ben Yehuda is when people get together, boys and girls and so on. It's not a good situation for Torah, for people who want to maintain a Torah life. They say, I haven't been in... When I was in Israel, there was a Ben Yehuda Street, and
Field trip?
what? You went to field trip. If we pay enough money, yes, I can.
As a married, mature man, when we were there, we were there during the daytime. All I saw was places to eat and stores to go and buy stuff.
Oh no, it's at nighttime.
The meeting becomes a meeting place.
Right. As a matter of fact, I remember when I went to the mountains, my wife's grandparents used to have a bungalow up in the mountains in New York. The Catskills. Yeah. So we went to the Catskills, and here I am. Okay, I'm with my family, no big deal. And so we come to the and I see they had a paper. They had a newspaper or whatever, or a pamphlet, whatever it was. And it was decrying how we have to shut down the nightlife of these people, of the area, because the kids are meeting, their boys and girls are meeting each other at the pizza places, and it's a shanda, it's a shame, it's going to destroy Klal Yisrael, all of Israel, blah, 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 blah. And I was thinking, Baruch Hashem, that's all they have to be concerned about. That they're meeting over pizza. In the secular world, please. Nothing. There's no, and I was thinking, Baruch Hashem, Bnei Israel are so innocent that's what that's all they're worrying about.
Is that in Mayor Sharina? They don't want pizza places for that reason.
Yeah, that's also why they didn't want to hear. That's why they didn't want the Erev and stuff, all that sort of thing.
But you remember the musical, The Music Man? This could be called The Pizza Man. It's the same thing. It starts with P and that rhymes with T and that stands for trouble and that's pizza and all that.
There you go. But that's what they were concerned about. And so here, again, that's the question is, what do you do with what you learned? What do you do? Do you make it practical? And that's what is really being asked. Do you make it practical or do you leave it in the theoretical? If you make it practical, that's great. So that's what Reish Lakish is saying. Again, Reish Lakish, think about where he's coming from. He's coming from a thief's background that says, if I just learn this, but I don't incorporate it into my life, what's the use of it? There's nothing there. I can make all the little drushes up in the world about Yetzer Hara, Yetzer Tov, but I want to tell you that this is real. And I think you have to look at Reish Lakish, we'll have to stop here, to say that that's what he's doing.
You hear the same complaint about a lot of professors in the ivory tower that they're just teaching high-level theoretics and they never get out in the real world.
Correct, 100%.
Interesting.
I agree with that. I'm Fred Neville, and I agree. I approve that message. Right? we have to internalize, and we have to bring it out to and actualize.
He shows